Love him or hate him, disagree or agree, an honest man must admit that Tucker Carlson is a force for human freedom in today's world, a champion of the most important freedom a human being could have, the freedom of speech, and the freedom to tell the truth as one sees fit, the most basic of human rights. Watch my documentary where I chronicle the illustrious career of Tucker Carlson.
And I mean this not in a negative way, just in a factual way. I don't think Tucker is a leader. I think he's a follower. I think he sees what's going on out there and says, okay, all the cool racist kids are following Nick. F word, F word. And that's what he does. He never takes a stand against something that someone else hasn't already done.
Oh yeah, Adam. Tucker is a total coward and follower. He only single-handedly tackled the fact that we were being replaced when noticing meant instant cancellation and villainization as a Nazi.
I would see this and I'd be like, wow, this country's really changing. And then I would see, but I still wasn't like hyped up about it or anything, but I was like, wow, that's really kind of crazy. This is happening so fast. And then I would see people like Chuck Schumer stand up and be like, the one thing you're not allowed to say is that the great replacement theory is real. You're an anti-Semite. And my first thought was, what are the anti-Semite? What does that have to do with it? I guess I'm too literal or slow or something. And I'm like, it's nothing to do with Jews. It's not anti-Semitic, but like, how is that a conspiracy theory? Here are the numbers, dude. And there's you on the floor of the Senate saying, I can't wait till this country's minority white.
We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
Okay, so you're telling me you can't wait for something to happen, and when I say, what are you talking about? You scream at me and call me a bigot and tell me that I'm a conspiracy theorist for noticing what you just bragged about. You don't have to be a genius, and I'm definitely not a genius, to say, what the hell was that? And that's when and then of course I travel, so in Australia and like, oh my gosh, New Zealand or Canada. And again, to answer your question in one sense, I don't know exactly, but this is the biggest thing, just biggest fact, biggest change to happen to global population ever in recorded history that we know of. And nobody mentions it because they're too intimidated that they'll be like called David Duke or something.
So, I mean, what you're saying basically is the white race is destroying itself from the inside, just like the country is destroying itself from the inside.
I mean, look, again, I hope I'm being honest about my lack of understanding. I don't understand the full outlines of this, but
what does it look like if the white race is destroyed?
I don't
and
know.
There are no
but
more
why
white
would
people.
you ever want to destroy any race on purpose?
Well, 3 days ago, the President of the United States declined to condemn Nick Fuentes' hateful views and defended Tucker Carlson's decision to give Fuentes a platform. The President was asked about his thoughts on the interview. He declined to condemn Nick Fuentes. That is disgusting.
Wah, wah, wah. Old Chucky boy just doesn't like the fact that Tucker also exposed January 6th as the fake insurrection that it was. He showed America how the Democrats and the Rhinos' narrative that Jan 6 was a full-blown coup attempt was a fraud, and this at a time when people were being banned and castigated for even asking questions.
Last night, millions of Americans tuned in to one of the most shameful hours we have ever seen on cable television. Fox News host Tucker Carlson ran a lengthy segment last night arguing the January 6th Capitol attack was not a violent insurrection.
Here we have footage of these evil insurrectionists in their attempt to forcibly take over the United States government. Look at how vicious, vile, and hateful they're behaving on them hallowed grounds. Then, look at these insurrectionists, and to think these vicious insurgents were within a hair's width of staging a coup. How can Tucker Carlson defend these people? How can he minimize the mortal threat this violent mob posed to our system? And to think if these people had only walked a little bit faster, America would have been done for. Then there's the case of the dangerous Wookiee.
There is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley, dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. Surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us in this building.
Even more outrageous than this prayer is the fact that these people congregated in hallways. Chuck Schumer is right to be outraged. Look at these people. Tucker Carlson is a thought leader. Tucker Carlson tackles issues that no one, including even some of the most diehard conservatives, want to tackle. Tucker Carlson is extremely influential. Tucker Carlson has been a fearless advocate for Americans, for white people, for the truth, for conservatives, against all odds and all naysayers.
Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have mutually agreed to part ways.
In a statement, Fox thanked Carlson for his service and said his last program was Friday.
Tucker Carlson is out at Fox News. Couldn't have happened to a better guy. I also kind of feel like I'm like waiting for the cutscene at the end of a Marvel movie after all the credits have rolled, and then you see like the villain's like hand reemerge out to grip over like the end of a building or something. But deplatforming works, and it is important, and there you go. Good things can happen.
CNN, Tucker Carlson's podcast surges up the charts amid MAGA rift over Israel-Iran conflict. The podcast boost in viewership coincided with Carlson's ongoing feud with fellow MAGA media personalities over U.S. strikes in Iran. Hawkish conservatives like Fox host Mark Levin, with whom Carlson publicly exchanged heated words, wants U.S.-led regime change. Carlson wants the U.S. to stay out of the conflict militarily. Both sides claim to represent the true America First MAGA movement. Carlson's surge last week was most visible in his YouTube viewership tallies. Throughout June, Carlson has averaged 1.06 million views on his podcast episodes, with 5 of them surpassing the million-viewer mark. His interview with Cruz garnered 3.5 million views. Carlson initially launched the show on Elon Musk's X, looking to harness his millions of viewers in the fallout of his Prime TV ouster. In late 2023, he launched the Tucker Carlson Network, creating his own distribution channel to supplement his social media first strategy. Last week was not the first time Carlson's podcast entered the upper echelon of Spotify's charts. In July 2024, Carlson briefly dethroned the perennial podcast king, Joe Rogan.
For an exclusive interview is Jonathan Greenblatt. He's the CEO and National Director of the Anti-Defamation League.
This, guys, is one of the most notorious censors of conservative voices on planet Earth. It is people like this that have been suppressing our voices across the various social media platforms. And I am a victim of this bastard's policies, which have infiltrated almost every aspect of the communications industry and every social media platform. This is the enemy. of free speech.
You penned a letter to Fox News Media CEO Suzanne Scott on Friday saying Carlson's been race baiting for years and it's time for him to go.
To the Fox board, to Fox shareholders, how can they countenance their network being used to mainstream the most violent and toxic ideas?
This clip is obviously from 2021 when these people held a huge amount of institutional power. Now imagine how they feel today. They must hate life.
Let's put up a scroll of some examples from the past. Remember, his top writer resigned last year after secretly posting racist and sexist remarks in an online forum. So there's some other examples on screen here. I put these up to make the point that Fox has promoted him. They've elevated him. He's the biggest star on the channel, the highest rated host. So what do you actually expect Fox to do?
Well, look, Father Coughlin got great ratings in the 1930s with anti-Semitic and racist rants until he was taken down, right? And, you know, people like Lou Dobbs on the Fox network or Glenn Beck before him got great ratings with their wild, racist, and ugly conspiracy theories. So what do we want Fox to do? I mean, first and foremost, Tucker has got to go.
Who the fuck does this guy think he is? He's the gatekeeper for the entire United States?
To be promoting these anti-Semitic and racist myths that literally were used by people on January the 6th to try to not just interfere with the election, but to murder lawmakers.
Talk about misinformation. I don't remember there being any conspiracy to commit murder charges among any of the Jan 6 defendants.
The dangerous propaganda series set to air next week on Fox News. It appears to baselessly frame January 6th as a false flag instead of what it was, an insurrection and treason inspired by Donald Trump.
Now that we've actually seen footage of Donald Trump's speech that he gave that day, he said nothing of the sort.
Tucker Carlson has a long and documented history of promoting white supremacist talking points and extremist narratives.
Let me correct that for you. You mean genuine and true narratives.
Tucker Carlson doesn't just have a platform. He is the most watched host, and he is the most anti-Semitic, the most pro-white extremism, the most sort of permission structure building for Kyle Rittenhouse.
Well, we all know what happened there. Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty. He was defending himself, as anyone who saw the video could see for themselves. That's why we don't want people like you gatekeeping us.
For all of the sort of white violence.
Balls on these people. And the thought that these people once controlled the entire national discourse fills me with rage. No more. You've been defeated, at least for the time being. Tucker has fearlessly interviewed such divisive figures as Nick Fuentes, despite all pressure to shut Nick Fuentes out of the national discourse. Tucker exposed the fraud and the lies behind January 6th. And Tucker has bravely covered the demographic crisis that is threatening the American people.
First Amendment to the Constitution, which, let me remind you, is not just a feature of America, it's the basis of America. It's the First Amendment for a reason. It's what separates the free from the enslaved. Slaves are not allowed to say what they think. Free men have God-given right to do so and will. And this is the only country on earth in which that is guaranteed.
You know what, guys? I don't even agree with everything that Tucker says. I certainly don't agree with everything that Nick Fuentes says. But you know what? I stand up for their right to speak their truths. Just like I don't try to say that these leftists can't speak their truths, even though I find their belief systems to be dangerous and anti-American and extremist and despicable in every single way. But you know what? I try to defeat them in the information space because we have a free marketplace of ideas. And God bless Tucker Carlson, and God bless anyone who is a free speech advocate. God bless you. God bless America. God bless MAGA.